Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Truth Bombs and Coffee with Cornelia Stephanie and Dr. Brook Sheehan. Welcome to the show.
This is definitely becoming one of my favorite part of Thursdays. I love that we kick this off Thursday mornings, and I'm kind of starting a new little hashtag thing here, Truth Bomb Thursdays. Woohoo!
I
So
love
Cornelia
that.
and I get to do this every week, or we've been doing it every week. I can't believe we're already 8 episodes in. And every single week it transitions and new things come up. So thank you for joining the party, and we hope you get a lot of value out of this.
Yeah. And so, what initially inspired us, right, to talk about the truth, to talk about why did we initially start this podcast to start, talking about truth? Because as you saw in the notes, that enlightenment,
Mhm.
is a destructive process, and it really what it means is stripping away all of the things that we once believed were true,
Mhm.
and then are discovering they're not.
Mhm.
And my God, that is hard. That is hard, and that is such a letdown.
It is. It is it's so difficult. It's so hard. And it's something that a lot of people aren't even willing to walk through because it is that difficult. You know, people questioning or people looking and people seeking truth, those journeys should be applauded. They should be encouraged. They should be, like we're here to help walk with you on those journeys because we know how hard those are. Standing up for what you believe in, standing up for your convictions, and standing in your power is not an easy thing to do, especially when the weight of the world feels so heavy and dark. It's just we have to shine bright. And I use this analogy with Cornelia last week, just in some personal conversations that we were having, is I felt like my own light was getting blown out, right?
Mhm.
People like in my circle, not friends and well, colleagues, blowing out my light, blowing out the work that I'm doing, and my feeling of being able to do what I do. And so I told her, I said, you know what? I had this realization that I need to be like one of those trip candles. You know, those candles you
Oh,
buy
yeah,
for
I
your
love
kid's birthday party, and then you happy birthday, and you have them blow out the candle and it relights, and they blow it out and it relights, and it blows out and it relights. And it's like, how many of us really know how to relight our flame when someone blows it out? That's a really hard thing to do. So, not to be all over the place in this conversation, but it kind of goes on the backs of really, moving through that enlightenment process and kind of taking the veil off and knowing that, this whole process is dark before it becomes light.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what you came up with the candles, I think that's like so cool to think about it. That it's so
Yeah.
cool to think about that because it's true. We give our power away
Yeah.
to our partners, to our colleagues, to the government, to
Mhm.
the doctors, to the lawyers, to our friends, to our family. A lot of times unconsciously without even realizing, because it's natural for our human nature to want to be with tribe, to want to
Yeah.
be liked, to want to be approved of, to want to be accepted, in what it is that we
Mhm.
believe. And then, so that's natural for us to do. So when we are in our enlightenment process, in our discovery of truth, what's true for us today may not be the truth on how we were conditioned from our past and our upbringing. And
Right.
so then when you stand in your own truth, and then you come up against the opposition, if you will,
Mhm.
and they team up together to try to blow your light out, or to try to keep you down instead of lifting you up,
Mhm.
instead helping you blossom. They're trying to blow that candle out. So that, I think that's like, we should have called it trip candles. It's like,
I know, right?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
totally.
really,
Totally.
really a cool metaphor, and this is a really
Yeah.
important piece for people to know, the people that are ready to really own their light.
Mhm.
I,
Mhm.
like really own your light, like really take ownership of your light, because you know that you are light.
Right.
I am light, you are light, everyone is light, we
Right.
are light. So if you can own your light when the darkness is also there,
Mhm.
and you can look at the darkness and you can see the darkness
Mhm.
and be with the darkness without judgment,
Mhm.
and then really, bring your light and shine your light. And that's a really positive way to do it, to take ownership of your light and not give your authority away, not give your power away to the people that you thought were your people.
Right, and I to add to what you just said there is it's one of those, gosh, I'm like, whew, not giving your light away, hanging on to it, really owning your power, really owning who you are and shining bright despite everything and taking kind of control of your own being. Just kind of summarizing what you had mentioned there.
Yeah.
It is the only way, in my opinion, the only way to get through the times that we're living in right now. Like there is so much darkness, so much darkness. And I went to a concert this weekend. And if any of you have ever been to a concert, there's a point at which the artist or the band playing, will start slowing things down and they play a slower song. And people back in my day when I was going to concerts as a teenager, and Cornelia, you could probably remember this, we had lighters, okay? People would take a lighter and we'd have little tiny flames going. Now,
With iPhones.
right, there's all kinds of crazies, but people's hair probably be lit on fire, crazy world. But anyways, people take their cell phone lights out, right? And so the whole room is dark and you have the cell phone lights going and it's just this sea of small tiny little lights shining through that darkness. And so it may feel like you're isolated. It may feel like you're only one person trying to take on Goliath. But know that there are those little lights, right? There's all of us little lights, me, Cornelia, our colleagues, our people. We are banding together to be tiny little lights, and eventually, it's going to unveil the ultimate darkness. Um, I don't think it's any shocker to anybody that we're sitting here on Wednesday, October 7th, and what was it, Tuesday, that the entire social media, platform went down, the big, Goliath social media platform. I don't need to mention it. You guys know. And which was really interesting because there was a lot of events going on in the world during that time frame. So I'm not going to get big into conspiracy theory. I'm just going to tell you like things were happening in the world, regardless of if you want to believe it or not. This is something that you can look up and I can share information, but these things were happening and all of a sudden everything went dark because they did not want the light to be shown, or the rug to be picked up and all of the filth and the disgust to be broadcasted.
Yeah, and that's really brilliant. We had a meeting the other day. We were talking about this because I was doing some research, and when we're looking at, taking ownership of your light, what does that mean, standing in your truth? So, like really defining it to yourself. What do you stand for? What is your truth? That would be a great place to start. And then when you are peeling the layers and the things that you thought were true, like maybe that the government was telling you, or that the doctors were telling you, or that the medical industry was telling you, or all the different places where we've given our power away, we then can do some research and look at more truth.
Mhm.
Where did this really originate from? Where did this
Mhm.
really come from? Where is this really at? And if you do the research, you can find out a lot of things and really open those layers and peel them back, right?
Mhm.
But we're talking about when the whole world went dark,
Mhm.
because that's another thing that happened this week. It was all down for everyone. So that's kind of like the same thing when the whole world went into lockdown. It's the
Right.
same thing. So, but what do we do during those
Mhm.
times when the whole world goes dark, and when
Mhm.
the whole world goes into a lockdown, what can we do? And that is, again, cultivate that deep, deep inner peace, and
Mhm.
strengthen that light, and
Mhm.
shine that light where you are, and solidify and integrate right there from that place, and
Mhm.
be the light there. And that's
Absolutely.
where we begin in our small. I was saying this morning to myself, because a lot of times I talk out loud. I don't know about you, but like
I
I
do too.
talk out loud, or I'm driving the car and I'm just like answering myself.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, I can't believe this. Can you believe this? It's like, oh my God. It's hilarious. So,
I
but
do too. That's why I'm laughing. I'm like, wow, okay, we're not alone.
no, and so basically what I said this morning is that my circle, my inner circle is small. I said it out loud. It's small. And I'm good with that,
Mhm.
because being a leader doesn't mean you're going to have a whole bunch of people that are agreeing with you.
Right.
Being a leader in truth
Right.
and what it is that you stand for
Yep.
is lonely,
Yep. Yep.
right? And that's so when we can know these
Yeah.
things, then we don't feel like, oh my gosh, this is I don't have my tribe or whatever. You do have
Mhm.
resources, you do have your people, and you have your one or two or three, but we have our small tribes that we're building, and that
Right.
is how we're changing the world. With From the small, like you said, you work on
Mhm.
your own inner light, and then we're expanding it out. But going back to Wednesday's situation, I was looking at, wow, we've been hearing about this kind of thing happening, that this is going to be happening when because we know
Yep.
that the social media has been infiltrated with all kinds of evil and suppression and all kinds of
Yep.
untruths, and we know that that's still happening, and that still has a leg.
Right.
And we know at some point that's going to not have a leg anymore,
Right.
right? So, uh, however that's going to unfold, but looking at just, our social media. So, how many people actually, go to uh,
Yeah.
log into
Right.
these social media accounts,
Right.
right? And
Right.
how many people actually go there, and how many people actually have their passwords and everything by logging in with their social media,
Right.
and
Right.
people couldn't access their accounts because they don't have their passwords or whatever written down.
Right.
But then you've
Right.
got, everything connected, and that's all, how it is. But I
Yep.
was just looking at, wow, someone as giant as Book,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And notice how I'm just using, I, hello, but
Ah,
looking at how long Book has been around,
yeah.
and it's been around 17 years old. I
Mhm.
did some research to look how long has it been around, really.
It's a teenager. It's a teenager. It's got acne and pimples.
That's true.
Crazy,
That's
crazy
true.
hormones running around.
Yeah. So it's been around, 17 years old, and it's got $1 trillion business
Mhm.
company,
Mhm.
and 2.8 billion users.
Yeah.
2.8 billion. So that's quite a lot of people that are influenced and that are part of that.
Mhm.
And the day before, there was that 60-minute interview,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
came out, and so, and then
Mhm.
all of a sudden the next day that happened. But no
Right.
matter what about all this, Dr. Brooke, is for me that when whatever happens in the outside world
Mhm.
needs to do whatever it's going to do, but in the
Mhm.
meantime, I'm focusing on my own body autonomy, on
Mhm.
my own sovereign self, on my
Yep.
own inner light, and cultivating that deep inner peace. And I know what I stand for,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so you know what you stand for, right?
Mhm.
And so, and then now we're inviting the audience to really look at, what is it that you stand for, what is your truth, and where is it that you're putting the boundaries up
Right.
and using your sword of truth,
Right.
weeding the garden, cutting out everything that's not in alignment with your truth.
Right. Amen. Amen. It's you and I both, and you more than I have, but it's not a competition at all. We're all in our different journeys of life, right? This is a journey that I've been on in seeking truth for the past 10, 11 years of my entire life, right? And just really, like you were saying, kind of getting the veil opened or like ripped apart and saying, wow, I used to believe that I needed to drink a cup of milk, 2 or 3 times a day to get adequate amounts of calcium. Well, there's new research, even research back then, that drinking milk from cows, let alone like non organic, all this stuff, you get all these toxins, whatever, and this is just in the healthcare field, like drinking milk or having calcium coming into your diet like that could be detrimental to your arteries, your heart, all that. They want to kind of, you know, put it on a pedestal and say, oh, it's a bunch of cholesterol and it's this and you're eating too much fat and da 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 da. And while there's some factors of that may be true, that's a sliver of the truth that the, you know, got milk campaigns have been putting out there, right? Milk mustache, having the celebrities. I mean, we remember those, Cornelia, back in the days, all over the place. Well, in part of seeking my truth, it was like, okay, well, Cornelia mentioned body autonomy. What do I need to do to take care of myself? I come from a long line of physicians in the medical field, medical doctors. Okay. People might look at me and go, oh, she's just a chiropractor. She's not a real doctor. If that's what you want to think, that's your thing. That's not my truth. That's your thing. However, I come from a long line of medical doctors. My great uncle discovered Sheehan syndrome. It's in the medical literature still today. So I'm not sitting here trying to base my idea of thought based on, just my family history, but understand that there's stuff there where it was all kind of just, let's take a pill for every ill. That was me growing up, in the drive-throughs, in the whatever eating. There was no understanding of what healthcare was. When I went on this journey to discover what true health was for me 11 years ago, I started to discover, holy flipping crap, I've been lied to. Okay, I've been lied to. So the reality is my realization 11 years ago, it was happening probably when, Cornelia's parents were even children. There was a lot of lying and, manipulation and, public campaigns to make doctors were promoting cigarette smoking. Like, how insane. How insane. So when we sit here and we kind of stand up, or people, kind of come at us and go, oh, well, you're not doing things for public health, and you're defiling the community, and you're making these rash decisions, and you're really, because last time, and I'm not sitting here trying to like, be venomous when I'm saying this, but last time I checked, I've made the decision to spend extra couple dollars here and there on organic food and make a decision on being, putting quality stuff into my body and spending time to make sure my mental, spiritual, and emotional state are okay. So physically I'm expressing myself in a good way. So while I'm sitting here doing all of these things, and you're out smoking cigarettes and eating your drive through, like, and by all means that is your choice, but don't come at me like I'm not protecting the public because I've made a certain decision that's not in line with your thought process. Because the reality, and Cornelia mentioned you can do a lot of research, and while that may be true, the reality is freedom of speech is getting shut down. Doctors, all kinds of doctors, medical doctors who gave that these to children, all of, on the schedule. You need this. You were just born. You need to get Hep B. You need this. You're 2 months old. You need this. You're 6 months old. That never questioned, and are now showing some questioning towards what is going on in today's public. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't go to this. You can't do that. Da 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 da. Doctors that are questioning this are now being shunned in the public as not, being valid. They're quacks, they're this, they're that. I want to ask you something. If that is truly the case, if this is really what's happening, Isn't this something to be concerned about? Isn't it something to be concerned about? They did their job. They followed their medical oath. They did, doctor patient relationship. This is not government patient relationship. This is between the doctor. The doctor knows the patient's history. The doctor knows what is going on, where they're genetically been, family history wise, what is happening. They're working with the patient to make the best decision with that patient. But now the fact that you get 15% off your groceries if you do X, Y, and Z, or get a free sugar donut from Krispy Kreme, that is furthest from any public cry of this is for public health. I'm sorry, I just went on a big long rant and but this is something that I feel very
Passionate.
passionate is a great word. I feel very passionate about this, and I just encourage you, really question what you're being fed. And when Cornelia, to go back to the research, when Cornelia mentioned you can research things, I'd also challenge you to look at different modalities in doing research, not just your big G, web browser, because you're not going to see the information that is being yanked from
Duck,
the
duck,
interweb.
go.
There you go.
Go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes,
Not,
that is an excellent one. Because I mean, so many people's YouTube channels, they've had millions and millions of subscribers. They've had channels for years, were yanked off the internet in a matter of hours. No warning, no notice, no nothing. YouTube changed their entire policy because they started speaking out or speaking truth about the other side of the story. It's not, all these rainbows and butterflies, there's a dark side of their product. People are getting injured from their product. Doctors and people speaking out against it that have had channels for years, sharing other health tips about juicing or cleansing or sleeping or detoxing, whatever it was, started speaking about something, no notice, no nothing, yanked off the internet. If you've ever read the book 1984 or even seen the movie, if this is not a time that we are living in, I don't know what to tell you.
yeah. And you know what? I just want to say that, this is a really good rant. It's a really good rant. And
That's
for
what it
our
is. Rant. I
rants,
love it.
for our
Yeah.
rants, we do not apologize.
No. Okay, you're right.
We No, we do not apologize for our rants.
I think I was not apologizing for the rant. I was apologizing for the time that I took to take that.
Okay, cool. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that.
Yeah.
Because we want to make it clear. It's like, because what you stand for, this is clearly what you stand for, and you're speaking for that. And this is important so that it can be heard and that it can go out and that it is said and that somebody else can listen to you and say,
Mhm.
yes, I agree with that. I feel that way. Yes, I feel that, because like we said when we opened the show, that enlightenment is a destructive process. Everything that we've been told, that we have believed, what we thought was true, isn't true, and that there is a deeper meaning behind it. I mean, even time,
Yeah.
even the word time isn't true. I mean, when
Right.
you look at all of the change that we're continuously being faced with, that it's like it's hard. It's hard, and we can realize, when we can realize that we're up for it. We're up for it
Mhm.
because we came here during this time to help reorganize, restructure the systems that have
Mhm.
been built on falsities and against the human spirit,
Mhm.
keeping people in decay, keeping people in sickness, keeping, it was all generated, with an agenda there. And when
Right.
we realize that, when we know that we're here to build sustainable structures for the children of our future, and that is now. So,
Mhm.
in that comes our responsibility to take ownership of our light, comes responsibility of looking at what we thought we believed in. Oh my God, how did you feel, Dr. Brook, when you found out, that, the healthcare system, the medical system, what you believed, all those years, when you first found out, how did you feel?
I was angry. I was angry. I think we put so much trust and faith in um physicians. We put so much trust and faith in, you know, the food supply. The FDA is going to protect us. The da 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 is going to protect us. All these things, when in reality, when you look deep, 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 deep to it, there's this involved. And there's this lining pockets of many people making different policies. And that is something you have to really, truly think about.
So you
So,
were angry, and that was hard.
very angry.
That was hard when you first found that out, because you were like, wow, here I was listening to this influence. I was
Hmm.
being conditioned and I was being lied to, and I
Hmm.
thought I was getting the right thing. And now I realize that I've been duped,
Yeah.
and I'm pissed.
Yep.
And what the hell is the truth then, really, right? Then it's
Right.
like, wow, it's like, even, I hear this all the time. So that's why it's like, it's up to each and every one of us to go and do some research and discover what our truth is, what each person's truth is, what is true for you.
Hmm.
And then whatever area that you're working with, whether it is the governmental, political, whether it is the healthcare system, whether it is the financial system, or it is the school system, or it is whatever system. Mind you, all of these systems had been built on structures and foundations that are not sustainable.
Amen. Yeah. Absolutely. Agree, agree, agree. Not sustainable. Not
Absolutely.
sustainable.
Yeah. And
Nope.
so now, we have a big mess.
Yep.
We have a big mess, and it's really dark,
Yep.
which is requiring us to be courageous, and shining our light and being willing to look at what's in front of us, right?
Hmm.
And like I said in the beginning, it's hard. It's really hard, because we want to hang on to our belief systems so much. We want to hang on to what we thought was true. We want to
Yep.
hang on. We don't want, so that's, you know, and
Yep.
we don't want to let go. And when our paradigms shatter and shift, uh, that's like, wow. But I can tell you what's on the other side of it, because personally, in my own journey, I have, for the last decade, in my own awakening journey, in my own enlightenment journey, I have gone through all of those processes, from the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, and now in the physical, to help return the body back to its original divine blueprint, light, light, and to live in a higher vibration of light and be
Hmm.
organic in that reorganization, and not be told by outside sources about all these things that I have to buy into, that aren't good for me, that are
Right.
toxic and that are not good. So,
Right.
this is, so everything I'm saying to you is, I'm standing in my truth. This is my truth. And at the same time, I can be with you, and then you can be in your truth, whatever that may be.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
don't have a judgment about it. You can be in that. And hopefully, with this energy of unconditional love, I can build a bridge, so that the bridge is there and it's open for anyone to walk over.
I love it. That's such a continuation from our conversation last week when we were talking about bridges and just loving one another. There's so much division. I've heard a lot of like internet marketers talking about just recently about they don't even know, they're struggling with their messaging because they don't know what audience they're speaking to. Are they speaking to somebody who's very pro this or anti that, whatever it is, because there is so much division. We've lost our sense of humanness and our kindness and our love and our light and just all of the beautiful things that make us who we are. The ugly parts of humanity are showing. And it, to end, it is about just kind of shining bright, reigniting your flame. If someone tries to blow it out, maybe you're struggling to reignite your flame and you need somebody like myself or somebody like Cornelia to come over with our own flame and put, our fire on your flame so that it can help reignite. So, yep.
Thank you, Dr. Brooke. I love you so much.
Love you too. I'll see you
Okay,
next
thanks everybody.
Thursday.
See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Bye.
Bye.